So I'm watching a New Earth, New Earth, all one word. She's a Bulgarian woman. I originally thought she was Russian, and she's getting better with her English quite a bit. Quite a bit actually. I originally thought she was Russian, but no, she's from Bulgaria, ancient Thrace. And I'd like to see what she has to say about where Dionysus was came out of Zeus's thighs. There's a place there which where he was born from Zeus, the lightning. Yeah, yeah, and also where Orpheus was born, the great singer, the father of all poets. And this is these are the Via Cava. Now those catacombs might be partly Roman. It's Tufa, and this is a settled area of Italy. It's Etruria, ancient, with Tuscany, part of the Etruscan world, which was before the Romans. Now the Romans were in. This is much more ancient than the Etruscans. This stuff. I don't exactly know what it is, but I know who probably built it. It sounds really improbable, but who it most likely is very improbable for anybody else who doesn't know what I know. Now, many things. Who might have built it, and why they're so odd and so narrow, and do such odd things, and where they go and why when they could go somewhere else. Yeah, well, the people who built it weren't like us, so they had a different civilization which was older than Etruscans. I kind of know who it might have been. I don't want to get into that. But there's a lot about ancient Italy that, yeah, there's places in there. If you find some houses kind of that are, yeah, they might have been peasant stuff built, you can build into from, but there are places that look really ancient that remind you of anybody of the other megalithic structures, except they're smaller. And these passages are like a meter, meter and a half wide. Some of them have like, when they hit a corner, they'll twist and go downhill steeply and stuff. Like, and they have a central channel that's like a track for something. Of what, by who, and for why? Well, I don't fully know, but I know that they weren't like us. So this was long before. You hear about the Etruscans. Now, tufa is like soft. That's actually, I think, a scene from a famous thing. One guy's peering through the firmament. These is roads now that in the area in Etruria are paved, and people don't even realize that they're driving on like a really really ancient, wider roadway. There were wider ones of these, and it's shallower country. Except some of them get to be like 30 meters. Did she say? Yeah, really deep. That's like 100 feet, right? Really deep and narrow. Why are they narrow? Well, what could use them? Well, again, we can't understand the motives of the civilization, which Rome destroyed all records of, including that of the Etruscans, whose culture they adopted much of after they arrived. Now, who they were, the Romanians say that yes, via Aeneas, they came from Troy. And Latin is actually a derivative of the ancient Romanian Phrygian language known as Thracia, whatever is Phrygian is properly known as, which was the language of Troy, they say, which makes pretty much perfect sense. And yeah, and so they fled to Carthage, and then there's this whole thing about Rome also stealing Carthage's culture and naval technology and organizational methods after they destroyed the city and destroyed all its great libraries. We're told of civilizations greater than Rome's, as also the great library of Corinth. They didn't get a chance. It was near Carrhae where Valentinian, was it him? One of the Roman emperors was abducted and held in captivity in Ctesiphon, the Parthian, or the Sassanid capital. I can't remember who was at the time. But yeah, humiliated by the Persian power of the East, basically, as they had been since a long time with the Romans. It was the great nemesis long before the Islamic world. But yeah, he got taken captive at Carrhae, which is near all kinds of interesting stuff, which kind of has to do with this and about the very, very, very ancient times all over the world. Now, this would date to, I would say, before the rising of the Mediterranean, because of the Hiawatha impact, which is the Phaeton meteor, comet, lightning bolt, whatever it was. The slag, I think, might be slag from the lightning bolt that is made of the Earth's crust. There's a good possibility it's not from another planet. About that, that's a totally different. Well, it's related to all this because how else were these things cut and why? But they were cut very well. But tufa is really soft, and anybody can cut it. You can cut into this stuff. But it's all over the place. There's maps of this. She says there's miles of it. It's covered in blackberry, a lot of it. But let's get on later in the sequence here. Maybe I'll fast forward it a bit. See, so yeah, maybe just a bit here. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, she starts just here. Just right there. She fast forwards. She gets to the top of the hill. Now look at this. This is a dry country in Etruria. And it turns out it looks like the Middle East is that place. Look at this. This is part of the Roman Empire. This is part of the Roman Empire at the height of the Caesars, but it's very ancient. It's much older than Rome itself. So I don't know what was it, Cumae, Cumae, which is the great symbol there. And Tarquin, I think it was, of the kings of Rome, the first, perhaps in 765, 725. I guess he's a descendant of Romulus and Remus, the famous sons of the wolf. Suckled by the wolf, the two twins, the twins. Now this looks to be, I would say, late Roman Christian sanctuary in the middle of the great grottos. But these are all passageways, are all these via Cavas. Look, she's going down more, exploring them. Now, she's explaining it a little bit. Maybe I should turn it up a little bit now. So I like her a lot, and I'd like to ask her about, would you go talk to please about ancient Thrace for us, right? And the Romanian stories I got the idea that I saw this thing about Nicaea. They found, yeah, there was an earthquake sank an ancient cathedral where the Council of Nicaea had been held, the Nicene Creed, right? The edit of the so-called Bible, the book. No, no, no. They edited all the real material, and what's left is a Roman propaganda by the Caesars. As I just keep on explaining to my fundamentalist friends that you can't just to look at the face you're seeing is New Earth's own logo with some mystical music playing. And she's touring this site. She's in her state, touring it as a person having a vision of what was there before. And I am kind of too. Like I say, I kind of know who did this. But it's a long time before the rising of the seas in 6000 BC. It might be before the rising of the seas at 11,800, but they didn't hide. Or did they? Right? What's underneath all this and in those crypts and catacombs you saw? Well, deeper inside this, within Etruria, there are other things, right? They've found them underneath Crete and stuff that are very old and ancient. And Crete was a mountain, much with a lot of land connecting. That might have been connected. I'm not sure to which islands. I'm sure maybe the Peloponnese. I don't think. I think not though. But to the Aegean, yes, certainly. And Naxos and Mykonos and Delos, where Artemis and Diana were born, Artemis and Apollo were born, right? It's very sacred in the Greek world. Also, it is there. I've been there. But Ephesus, of the land of the four cities of the Tuatha De Danann of Ireland that came from the southeast, the cult of Dan, the moon, Diana. Ephesus is obviously one of the four cities in Nicaea now, because on the site of where the Council of Nicaea was held, I would say in English, Nicaea, in Greek or Latin, I'm not sure, Nicaea, Nike means victory. Or, yeah, kind of, Nike is righteous or judgment related, Nicaea is Nicaea. I have to not sure the etymology of the city's name, but it was like a great, 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 great sanctuary of the ancient beliefs long before it became the place where Constantine held the council known as the Council of Nicaea and edited away all the things that didn't fit the imperial version of what Christianity had to be and left in stuff that allowed for the cult of Mary to prosper, which is because of the mother and Isis and Astarte and Ishtar, and all the great mother cults, also of many other Saint Michael and Apollo and so on. There's very many cognates, between Christianity and its angelology and actual, yes, both Norse and Greek and Hebrew and Persian and all kinds of, they're all connected mythologies, no, tales of what happened and who things were, who built what. So this tells me a lot about who might have built what happened, because you have to understand who is still around a lot. who could do things like this on large scale for unknown reasons that the Romans erased all memory of deliberately. Just as the first Jin emperor, the famous one with the ceramic army of soldiers who are all like his soldiers for what? For the afterlife or for the science fiction movie where they come out to life? Well, you just never know about anything in this world now any of these days. But yeah, the really ancient megalithic work we see, yeah, well, pretty clearly the work of what we call the giants. And yeah, well, there's a reason the Fremont people were hiding higher and higher and higher in Range Creek Canyon in Utah. People know about that who know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Remember the Lovelock Cave Giants? The big, what were they, 14 footers? They were red haired and they ate people? Yeah, those guys. Yeah, well, higher and higher and higher. The people of the Fremont culture climbed higher and higher and higher, more and more remote. They went down for water and they just stayed up there. They had all their food up there, too. Why? Because the giants could climb up and snatch them like snacks. So where did they disappear? What happened to Cahokia too? I don't know. Who sat on the great pyramid there? Who was the high king there? Did he wear a bronze crown? How big was he? Because there are bones that big that were found. Everybody knows they were reported in the newspapers of the time, the newspapers of record. If it was a hoax, it was by the newspapers. And those ones, no, they had no reason to. And the whole idea that America had an ancient civilization was antithetical to the idea of American conquest of the Native Americans. No, yeah, well, who they actually were, and the Native Americans have the reason to not want to have everybody examine the bones, if they are relations, and yeah, they probably are in various ways. And it was a multi-racial, if that's the right word, culture of all the peoples that had fled the old world that had come to settle the new world and left behind all the depredations of Christendom and Islam and their destruction, and Rome and its destruction of history. So the Father Crespi materials, which are like Babylonian, Carthaginian looking things to me, with a distinct kind of North African fusion in them, remind me of some of the work from the Atlas that I've seen from the Berber stuff, you know? The artwork they wear and the symbology that's also in James Church work. Yeah, so this stuff that she finds is really interesting, always. I don't know what's up next here. Let's see what happens here. What comes up next is coming to the end of this. 21, 22, 23. Yeah. Okay, I'll keep on watching that. This is interesting. Mystery History got their funding cut by YouTube. They're censoring materials. They might censor my politics. We'll see. Because I don't know. I have a lot of support for what I'm talking about. I think in terms of who likes this on all sides of the political spectrum. Like that's a damn good idea. I don't want to run it. I just want to release the idea and have people listen, right? So that's why I talk about all that, the end of the crown and the rise of the Northwestern republics who joined the Union. And how many states? Well, that's up to us to decide if we do this the right way. It'll be imposed on us anyway for all the reasons I go to elsewhere. Yeah, this is them asking for to help our channels. I just send them money, basically. Yeah, you got to do it.
A story which he continued to tell from the grave. While digging on Catalina Island in the Gulf of California between 1919 and
So yeah, I hope these guys don't mind. Hey guys,
according to him,
I'll plug you. I'll put link your materials and compliment you on the materials. I like this stuff a lot. The good coverage. The mystery history often has some really good materials. So I see them on live chat. Go away signal. There we go. Yeah, the giants of the Channel Islands, you know, and Catalina and Santa Barbara Islands and shit like that. They're big, right? And the little people are all over the world. Those stone things in California were before a great wave that came off of God knows what in the Pacific that swept the whole. Maybe one of the Hawaiian volcanoes let go a mega tsunami that could come off of one of the Las Palmas volcanoes. Or is it Las Palmas? No, it's in the Las Palmas in the Canaries. That could wipe out New York and Boston like woof, like that, with a 300 foot or 300 meter wave. 8 hour warning. Yeah, well, Yeah, or something like that happened in California or something like that out of South Africa, I think, when a chunk of Antarctica collapsed in the water, maybe. Things like that can happen again very suddenly. Like right now, they can happen too. There's things underway. So he's out on the islands looking at the things they found. Look at the size of that mortar and pestle. Now, is that made for a human? I don't know. I don't know. It's heavy.
However, his reasoning was
Now that's his shop and all the stuff he collected. This interesting guy, really, really interesting stuff. California, and the guy saw a house in Cuernavaca.
with the male adults around 7 feet in height.
A lot of the Americans and the Brits and other expats that are around Mexico and all the Yugoslavs and stuff, there are Mexicans.
Is that he was just bluffing about finding giant skeletons.
Yeah, raided Native Americans, counting graves, and all that's the thing about it is grave robbery. There's sacred burials, a lot of these, right? So I have problems with that too, no matter which culture it is, and that's what the natives have the problem with. They're always, the natives say, yes, 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 we want the bones back, because they kind of not know, but they know that they're connected to their own cultures, which they are. Because they lived amongst them, you know, and the Slavic and other nations around here have stories about them. That they'll tell the right people. They don't like it when they, like Charlie Sheen or whatever his name was. Yeah, he comes up in Alaska, started looking for I don't want to talk to them, name them. They're not the Sasquatch, but I don't want to name them. I just don't want to name them. It's just not good, you know. They don't want to be mentioned. You know, he went in there, made a TV series on them, went hunting for one, for God's sake. Oh God, you have to think about what and who they are, but you don't know all these guys that don't know the ancient lore like I do. I don't mean to be raving about it. People think I'm a braggart and a bully and an info bully. No, I'm just a messenger of the truth. Having 6 fingers and toes, very common, and double lines of jawbones. Sorry, G's actually. Huge jaws, like the Lovelock giants, but they weren't all cannibals, you see. Like they were, the Susquehannocks were, the Susquehanna Valley were, Pennsylvania. They got wiped out by the Mohawks. And, I don't know who else around that area, the other tribes in the area. The Sioux were in that area, the Payasa, who were like giants with wings or something like this. You know, yeah, like the Babylonian, yeah, those guys. And there's other things with bronze crowns and bronze swords. And, you know, swords that they don't know how the sword was made and shit like that. Things they find in North America. Yeah, the Knutson expedition. Where's the Western Finland? Where was that? We sailed from the Western Finland. Where was that? Shore Hudson Bay? Where was that? This would be 1352, 1556. Yeah, like 96, 97 years before Columbus, right? Norwegian-Swedish expedition to the New World by Hudson Bay. And that's where the Kensington Rune Stone came from. It's provably the case. Yeah, I had no reason. Olaf Holman had no reason to fake it. And how would he know or have the time to bury it under the tree the way it was found? Or, you know, turn it over as lintel for so many years and use it as a doorstep before knowing what it was. Yeah, the giant skeletons. This is Santa Barbara Islands. One of them are Santa Catalina. Oh, Ecuador. Also, yeah, I've heard about this too. Yeah, and look who built this. You have to think about who got up there and why and moved everything like that and how. The size of the things that they find. Yeah. Things that aren't human use. They're not for human use.
Spoke of giants who once roamed these jungles, a time when huge megalithic cities and pyramids were created. Structures now all but retaken by the clutches of nature. A small group of alternative historians, along with a number
a small group of alternative historians, yada.
To find out and prove if these legends, along with modern
just take them as literal fact, fellas. I have long ago. I've learned better to not doubt what the oral record says. You follow it also. You can follow the Eldoretta and the Homer, and you can find places if you read the text carefully, right? Which is how they found Troy, how Schliemann found Troy, and where to look at Mequinez and stuff. Well, Mequinez was pretty easy to find, actually. I think Tiryns was obvious. So was Argos, the citadel of Argos, which survived the great tsunami coming out of Tira.
Not to
And
mention
the culture of the
impossible
Argola, though,
large
had been an
cities of the
offshoot of the
giants.
Hyksos,
Scattered around
which is
the
the same
area
type
were a
of thing
great
that was,
many artifacts,
the
strong
Hyksos
and
were the
clever.
Hebrews too, right?
Many of these objects still exist
Yeah,
used in the
1700
field
was,
of
14,
mining
not
or
1400. Look
refining
at
of
this
metal
here.
ore. However, astonishingly, these tools are sized for the use of giants.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
style of the buildings and the objects found
Exactly. The
all
size of
suggest
the
an
objects and the
unknown
buildings
pre-Inca
found.
giant-sized culture.
Giant-sized
However,
cultures.
unfortunately, it seems the powers that be may be stalling a full exploratory investigation for such ancient relics, with a possible goal of sending in private contracted hunters to get them first.
Yes,
Further
exactly. Because it's
investigation is
looking for
needed to
things, you
establish
see.
the facts.
But also what they're doing is, one of the reasons Bolsonaro wants to kill all the undiscovered tribes,
According to Bruce
or the
Fenton, quote,
uncontacted
"The
tribes in
giant
the Amazon,
tools
which he's
found
about
within
to
the city
do,
of
the new
giants is the ultimate evidence that
guy in
once
Brazil.
inhabited
He thought
the
Trump
distant
was
past.
bad. Oh my
Giants
God.
built
So anyways, but
incredible
why he's
cities and
doing that,
structures.
they're looking for
What's
to
conclusively
raise the
points to this
jungle to look
habitation
for,
having
the
housed
incredible
these big
cities and
giants
structures.
is the presence of these
Yeah, this
extremely
is the presence
oversized
of extremely
hammers, or
oversized
at least
hammers,
the remaining
or
stone
these
hammerheads,
remaining
he
stone
said.
hammerheads.
Assuming they were indeed attached to hardwood handles,
You know
a
what
rather
though?
safe presumption to make.
They're not
They would have been
gone.
both
This is what
incredible in size
Bolsonaro
and
doesn't
weight,
realize.
clearly
They
made
might
their
be
use
underground for
impractical
now.
for a typical Inca or indigenous Indian,
Yeah,
generally found to have
they're
been
not
around
just
5 feet
ceremonial.
or so in height. Mainstream scholars still persist that the city be non-existent, despite the numerous discoveries in 2013, a clear case of denial.
Well,
The
shoots on stone
Ecuadorian
blocks, that's
Ministry
pretty
of
small.
Culture has
That's
even
small
sent
bricks for them.
representatives to investigate the lost city of giants. They ultimately concluded, to the shock of the team, that the pyramid-shaped buildings were nothing more than a natural formation. The international team of experts of ancient
All I can do is
science
laugh when
and
I hear the
pyramid
official line
technology
on these
are
places.
planning further expeditions to the site to place it accurately on a map.
Yeah, that's something and a half. That thing is. Look at the slope on that. I've never seen that
This
pyramid
intriguing
structure
site.
before.
We
There's a
will,
different
of
kind of
course,
giant. See,
keep you
there's
posted.
more than one kind of giant, folks.
We've often been
Yeah.
collecting finds of
Lovelock.
skeletons.
Those guys were 14 feet tall, 8 feet tall, whatever the fuck they were. Fucking big and nasty, man. They ate fucking people. Not necessarily all of them did. There's all kinds of stories of them getting along, and the big people, the little people in Aotearoa when the Maori got there. Yeah, 2 ears of toes and 6 fingers, and you gotta think they're digestive tracts, and they lived a lot longer. Yeah, steps are too big for us, and yeah, the size of things around. It's coming out now. And yeah, people go, oh, this is all bunkum. Well, it is, or isn't it? What's the bunkum? Oh, 7 meters, 25 feet. Ooh, wow. Wow. See? Oh, why is it in Switzerland? You see, it's been plundered. Why is this not evidence in Ecuador of a greater civilization in Ecuador? Look at the size of the freaking footprint. Why is that? It's probably too far. Yeah, well, you never know. They have ways with stone that we don't understand, because they were more ancient than us. They're longer lived, and they had a greater civilization, as did the little people who were. I remember I had the little thing on about the Cavas. Yeah, the little people had building skills and knowledge, and they worked with the giants quite often to do things, right? And the war between the Aesir and them, the Vanir took the side of the Aesir, but they were spared partly. What do you think the Irish are? You know, the Milesians who were spared. Well, they're the human followers of the, never mind, there was Vanir, Frey. There's a different way I should say his name. Crespi, look at this stuff. Now, yeah, that's something, but there's some of this stuff. Yeah, giant materials. There's other giant things. Yeah, I don't know. That's also to do with head binding, you know. But yeah, the artwork that shows up. This is Neo-Babylonian shit that was in his collection, along with a lot of other stuff I saw that was clearly Carthaginian or Hellenistic, Alexandrian, you know, Punic culture, or Western Berber. Now that I've seen the Berber. Yeah! Why thousands of giant skeletons? Why'd they do that? The Smithsonian Scientific Institution. Now, how much bullshit is that headline? I don't know. I have to go back and look what that was. How legitimate is Chilistazo? I don't know.
time goes on,
Okay, how legitimate is that network? What will they know? How legitimate is that relic? We'll find out.
take care.
I'm kind of a thorough scientist, right?
In
So I see this
1932,
stuff.
gold prospectors searching within the San Pedro Mountains of Wyoming would make a groundbreaking
Never heard this
discovery,
one.
a find which, for a brief period of time, exposed to
Never heard
the
them.
world the
Bars.
past existence of a group of people, a secret, unexplainable race, which has been successfully covered up
Oh,
for over a
really? Eh?
century.
You see,
Cast into the
like
realm
a
of
lot of this
folklore,
stuff, you got to
this
take it
group
as
of people
legitimate.
could be
It's oral
attributed to
tradition.
tales of gnomes or hobbits. The once native Crow people spoke of their ferocious nature for many hundreds of years. No taller than 36 inches in height,
Elves.
according to William R. Corliss
Little
in his
people.
1978 book Ancient Man, a handbook of puzzling
You don't
artifacts.
screw them with in Iceland today, even today. You know, ask any Icelander. Oh, no, same with the Irish too. Not there, kind of,
An
no.
ancient Little People graveyard of vast proportions was once found in Coffee County. It was estimated that there were as many as 100,000 separate individuals buried there. And in 1932, two gold prospectors would thankfully expose the existence of the Little People of Priory Mountain to the world. Deep within a mine on the mountain, they discovered a secret lair, a tomb, somehow.
Well, you
placed
see, like, I'm
deep
just
within
having
the
this
rock
on here. I hope
face.
this guy doesn't mind. So
Within
this,
this
I'll
tomb,
get his
they found the mummified
video link to
remains
add to
of
my
a
post
tiny
of this, you know.
humanoid. Now
I'm
known
at
as
26
Pedro,
minutes. I'll try not to run it
according
too
to
long.
Dr.
I'm just
Henry
finding this
Shapiro,
all really
an
interesting that
anthropologist from the
I do
American
find a
Museum
lot
of
of
Natural
materials, and I
History.
read past all the
Along with several X-rays he made,
conspiracy
proving
mumbo
his
jumbo.
authenticity.
Yes, there is a
Pedro
reason
was
that the
65
U.S.
years
government
old
doesn't
when he
want to
died,
discuss the
and
ancient
he had
civilization here.
unfortunately suffered a terrible fall, which had dislocated several of the vertebrae in his back. It seemed to Dr. Shapiro, a head wound that he had apparently suffered some short time after may have been the result of his relinquished life, in a curious act of mercy by his fellow tribe members. The Crow tribe attests to these tiny people once being gifted warriors, feared by all those in the surrounding areas. They told of the Little People murdering all who ventured near them, even decimating a group of 200-strong warriors who mistakenly trespassed into their territories during the night. Pedro ended up in a pharmacy in Wyoming, and for 7 years he was a successful local attraction. One day, when an unusual businessman offered to buy him, after apparently paying a very large sum, the man disappeared with Pedro, and he has never been seen of.
Yeah, no
The
doubt.
only existing mummy of the Little People, it seems, was successfully confiscated during the late
Gotta be
1950s.
on these found though.
To this day, it is not known where.
There's a lot on the
Pedro
market, a lot that's
Although
hidden,
for the
like
person
my
who
friend
locates his
Willie's
current residence,
great
we have been made
grandfather's
aware of a
head
substantial
from his
cash
body has
prize
been
for the
separated. That's
person who can
Kintapush
bring
of the
him
Modoc
back into
War.
the public arena. Or at least
Yeah,
further
yeah,
testing.
coming up for air.
If you know where Pedro is,
Whoa, where the little people are is a good question. The Navajo talks about the ant people coming up and tell them to come hide downstairs, basically inside the earth. And they stayed down there a long time, the Navajo, the Dina. But when was that? Well, it was before their southward migration to the Grand Canyon area where they are now, and the Apache migration into New Mexico, Texas, and Arizona. Yeah, all that, my southward migration of the Dana, Great Dana Nation. The Dana and Day spans not just Dana and Day, which is all the Dana-speaking lands across northern Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and the Mackenzie Valley, but also all Gwich'in and Cascadena, Nahanni, Tahltan, Tsilhqot'in, Daca, Wet'suwet'en, Dunaza. They're all Dana, all of them, and the Dina, who are the Navajo. And the Apache, they fled south from, I think, the volcanic eruptions of Level Mountain, and Aziza noticed the eruptions and how big they were, right? Well, whoa, yeah, that would have devastated that whole large Pelly Nahanni area. That's why it's empty. That's where they fled south from, right? There's all kinds of stuff that is older. But all over Italy was my point of that original thing, right? Italy, the Romans were censoring history. It happened here in North America. Yeah, this is a biological thing to do with that, a thing to do with the way the spores grow. Yeah, that's true too, but what is that being caused by? Yeah, there's other things going on. And like crop circles are like an ionic effect, like an electrical thing. I respect the elves are isolated. I gotta watch out. Stay away from that rock.
itself is but one
Don't
example
try
of
shit like that.
Cmts'
It's
tiny
bad
agenda.
fucking news.
According to
Bad
the
things
letter,
happen
Cavas
once
is
you
a
do
tiny
that right at
agenda
that corner or whatever.
The wife of the district police superintendent and public prosecutor at the farm of Versta Fujal in Votnafjordur in the east of Iceland received this cloth as payment from a fairy woman whom she had midwifed. The cloth is now in the National Museum in Reykjavik. Thor Magnusson, who is the president's custodian of antiquities, says certainly it's a unique cloth. There are some other gifts too up and down the Atlantic coast of Europe, including the flag and the quad, kept today at Dunvegan Castle.
Yeah, and in Scotland you got the stories of the elf pharaohs, like on some of the islands you'll feel,
A cup that was won fairly from fairies.
I don't know, you get just stung by little arrows on your calves and stuff like that walking around, even through your jeans, right? You get, like it feels like you're being stung by something, like poked and prodded, right? Yeah, and the glasswork, this really, really fine, beautiful glasswork with the stuff that the elves were said to be able to make. The very fine glasswork and filigree, and yeah, miniatures and stuff, and beautiful artwork. High craftsmanship they were known for, and ferocity. So the ones with the crow are talking about sounds to me like the Tuatha De Danann. Of course, there were a lot of different tribes of the Tuatha, means the tribe of the god is Dan, the Dagda, right, and Mav, right, the Morgan Mordu, you know, they fled across the sea, right, they went beyond the circles of the world. Some wound up in New Zealand, it turns out, but yeah, I could see some of them winding up in the New World, and some of the giants, the most fearsome, as the Susquehannocks and the Lovelock giants, you know, in Nevada. Yeah, it's all the stories of who the Sasquatch are historically, and well, I mean, mythologically, is there a difference anymore? No, there really isn't. So if the giants were 300 million, well, let's see what they got. This stuff, another step into but the Hindu history goes that far back. And we've got to stop doubting all the mythologies now, you see? Where all of them are true, as true histories. We take them as some kind of literal fact and try and figure out the literal fact. And we are finding out more and more and more and more. And it's all fitting together. The more you watch it, the more you just filter out all the, oh, alien this, oh, government conspiracy that. Just show me the evidence. Like, Newers, she's really good, the Bulgarian lady, for the first thing we were watching. And that was my point about that, was how much the Romans destroyed of the ancient world. Islam did a lot too, and the Roman Church, both kinds of the Roman Church. And the thing that happened in Nicaea was the ending of the Arian heresy and making it illegal, making it a heresy, the heterodoxy of Arius, the priest. It's a different kind of Christianity. They worshiped it differently. It's more nature oriented. Jesus was human, essentially. Very different from Catholicism in its celebration of the divinity of Jesus. Jesus was more like the Buddha that was teaching Buddhism, basically. And it come from, that area, Bactria, Macedonia and Bactria and Ladakh and places. I should watch this. And what was I found at the Tomb of Osiris? Yeah. Whoa. What's that made of?
It's about 300 to 360 million years old and is lined with distributions of coking coals that are also of around the same age.
This was found in Donetsk.
Mr. Kasatskin has discovered upon the roof of this shaft of coal an imprint of a chariot wheel, an imprint undoubtedly made before the rock had formed around it. He also discovered another imprint a small distance further along the shaft. It must be noted that these imprints have remained buried deep within these seams of rock for many millions of years. If a scientific analysis has been undertaken upon this artifact...
Yeah, well, there's lava flows and things like these. Hindu history says, and many legends ago, there's been many cycles of destruction.
From the public domain. Upon realizing the implications of his
anomaly.
Mr. Kasatskin, an extremely experienced foreman in ventilation and safety engineering, specializing in seismic prognosis.
Interesting. There's all kinds of interesting stuff on. I could watch this all night. I'll end this for now, but I'm just curious what else is on here right now. Some of this stuff could bore me, but that's pretty interesting, a lot of this stuff. But
they demanded he continued the work through the shaft,
so that it could be subsequently flooded, which is unfortunately what has occurred, making further exploration of the sites impossible. He stated that he's invested.
Yeah, I know. I support them, but I have no money, so the best I can do is to see that and help them out. It's called Mystery History Backup Channel. Mystery History got blocked, or they got demonetized. So subscribe to these guys and help them out.
Hi guys,
Crop
Matt from
Circle.
Mystery History here. Today I wanted to start a new topic. It's surrounding the very real and unexplained mysteries of the crop circle.
Yeah, that's what
Throughout
he
the
said.
last several decades, many people have come forward as culprits to these strange occurrences, with many of these events subsequently being proven hoaxes. However, there exists a rare few that do not occur near human settlements, not accessible by road. These crop circles are often witnessed by chance in some of the most remote regions of Earth, whose characteristics have evaded scientific explanation since their arrival on our planet. These particularly special formations
They've always
will
been
often
here,
show
you see.
traces of things which defy logic. The crops from
The
authentic
Rakshasas,
will
you know,
often
it's an
provide
ionic
show
effect,
signs of
ionospheric
dramatic
ground effect. It's a static
several
formation.
generations down the line.
Yeah,
Several crop
yep.
circles
It's all to do with electronics, electrics, causing the bend, and doing what it does, causing the glaze. Yep,
to be an iron oxide called hematite.
yeah.
Other components present within the samples were later found to have had meteoric origins.
Were
After
they?
the Iron Glaze's discovery in 1993, all subsequent unusual crop circles were tested for traces of iron oxides. Many crop and soil samples since then have shared similar characteristics. Tiny metallic magnetic spheres are also often found within soil samples.
Yeah, but that can be caused by electricity too.
When
Not
young
just
maize has
they
grown
say
up from
it's
a real crop
magnetite, so they
circle's
say it's
harvest,
meteorite.
it
Is it?
exhibited strange characteristics, such as unusually uniform
I
growth.
have a
and
theory that
germination
that's where it
rates.
comes from, but is
The
it?
seed from crop circles that occur on mature plants often exhibit a significant increase in growth rate and vigor, up to 5 times that of control seeds. When scientists and many other types of professionals have attempted to replicate these crop formations, they have utterly failed. The real formations can stretch many acres and often appear overnight, an impossible task when you realize that each corn stem has been laid in differing directions, somehow manipulated individually. The crops
Well, but like static formations and structures can do a lot. I'm gonna fast forward if you always want to see what this
if the creators of the crop
simple one, but when they get complicated like this, it starts looking like language.
400 feet above. This is the question they are
Yeah, that started looking at me like formulas and language and stuff like that. Symbol sets.
above the desert floor in a remote section of New Mexico within ancient Anasazi territory.
Oh yeah,
Is a place named Chaco Canyon.
yeah. But which part are we looking at here? I know Chaco Canyon, but
Called Capado Butte. Hidden from the world for over 700 years, along the precarious narrow ledge,
oh,
there lay a secret, ancient astronomical observatory, subsequently given the name Sun Dagger, and the reason why is nothing less than remarkable. It has been revealed that for more than 1,000 years, the Sun Dagger has been revealing to all aware of its creation the subtle changing of the seasons. In 1977, it was thankfully rediscovered when rock art and petroglyphs were spotted nearby. Anna Sofer,
wow. Ah, see, new things get found all the time. The stuff that people knew all over the world about the sky, you see, is really big because they all had to watch the sky because big things would come at them out of the sky. This is all the history of the recent human past, the last 20,000 years of the Holocene, which is a period of mankind, basically. Goes back farther than the Holocene. How far back? I don't know. Not to the Eocene, I don't think. I guess, well, maybe. I don't know. But the Miocene, you know.
Before leaving it in shadow for another year. On the winter solstice, 2 daggers of light appear.
The Anthropocene is just the last, I don't know,
during which they frame
100 years,
spiral.
50 years.
Finally, an equally fascinating and more complex light show occurs on the spring and autumn equinoxes. The large spiral is carved in such a way.
Yeah, I better turn this off and relax. I go to bed. Have a good night. That was kind of fun to do, but yeah, I just want to comment on ancient Italy. There's so much in Italy that the Romans, like those things we saw, were very much more ancient. The Via Cavas, I recognize to be much more ancient than the Romans. older than the Etruscans, but how old are the Etruscans? We don't know because the Romans wiped out all knowledge of them,
The alignments that
other than what they wanted to say about them. The Carthaginians,
it also seems impossible.
we have to read, as with the Gauls, you have to read past what the Romans said about them.
Was this sun
With everything, you have to read past what the source had to say, because they're the ones who wrote the history, the ones who are hiding the truth.
a relic which similar
Yeah, the Chacocaña was only a ceremonial center.
equinoxes can be found
Well, you only know something more than that, but like an annual, couple annual things.
in Mexico.
Gonna sign off here.
In a ruin in Hovenweep National Monument,
Yeah.
near the borders of Utah and Colorado, light beams
Hovenweep
also
is
illuminate
part of the
spires
Hopi
of the
territory, I
summer
think.
solstice. At
Yeah,
birth,
did they say that? National Monument says, right? Yeah, who's National Monument? Anyway, have a good night.
concentric rings in an early Chumash rock art display. Were these monuments once used by a lost, ancient advanced group of
Chumash is in
Americans
California.
while traveling America? Perhaps one day we will know. for
Southern
sure.
California. Yeah, that's all really interesting.